Hi everyone. I sure miss all of you. I thought since we're a little cooped up and we didn't get to go to maybe a real beach over spring break, we'd paint our own. So hopefully you saw the time lapse. It was a very quick painting of a beach, but now I'm gonna slow it down a little bit and we're gonna paint one together. So if you have these supplies at home, a canvas, an acrylic paint and brush, you can do it just like I'm doing. Or this works great with watercolor paints or markers, crayons, oil pastels. You can even cut paper and make your own. So any version of this painting is awesome. So you can watch this and paint along with me or create it your own way. And then don't forget to have a picture taken and send to me on my email, and I'll add it to our online gallery. Okay, let's get started. So I have my canvas in front of me, and I've added on my palette some white, cerulean blue, it's kind of a nice blue, and a bright yellow. Now, it's really fun to add in some other fancy colors, and if you have a lot of paints at home, you can definitely add to this, but I'm going to kind of go with the most basic colors and show you that you can mix these just as we've done in class to get some really beautiful effects. So I'm going to start with the sky, and I'm using my flat brush. This is a 1-inch flat. You can paint this with something else, but this is what I like to use. And I'm going to just dip my brush in water just so the paint moves nicely, and keep my water close by, but I'm not going to need it too much. So I'm going to start with the sky, and I'm going to grab a little blue, and I'm going to grab some white and do that double dipping that you know I like to do in class with you all. And I'm going to just start to put down a beautiful, warm, beachy sky. And you can see that white makes some really pretty variations. And I'm just going back and forth, and I'm not going to go down all the way because I want to have room for a lot of nice water. But if I want to make the sky maybe a little darker, a little more blue, I can sure do that. And I'm going to try to keep this nice and straight, this line, because when I'm at the beach and I'm looking out across the ocean, there's this nice straight horizon line. Now, maybe a few clouds, soft clouds are in the sky. If you want to have some poofier clouds, you can sure do that. I want my beach to be kind of a nice, warm, sunny day, so I'm not going to put a lot of clouds in the sky. Now, you'd think we'd go to the ocean, but I'm actually going to swish my brush and get it clean now, and get that blue out of it. Now I'm going to go to my yellow, but I don't want my sand to be that bright. That's pretty intense. So I'm going to add just a little bit of yellow to my white. And down here I'm going to create a beach. Now my beach could go all the way across, or it could be just part of almost like a little part of an island, or I'm just seeing part of the water, or the sand, excuse me. And it's pretty yellow, and that's okay. Now that's why I was saying, if you have another yellow, like a pale yellow, I'll show you what this looks like. It's kind of makes it maybe look a little more realistic perhaps. But again, it doesn't matter. You could have a purple beach if you want. Who cares, right? So I'm going to bring some beach color in there. And now, this is so fun to do the water. I don't want to make my water look exactly like my sky, or it'll all just blend into one big thing. So I'm going to still use some blue, but I'm going to add a little darker blue. I'll show you just a sec here, or a different blue, I should say. And maybe a little turquoise. I'll show you my palette here in a sec. Okay, so I've added some colors onto my palette. Kind of a royal blue. I could use a darker blue than that. And this is a real pretty kind of turquoise and this green. Now, if you don't have those colors, you could just use regular green, like kind of grass green, and mix it with some yellow, and it would give you kind of a light limey green. Or you can mix green and blue and get kind of even a darker green. So anyway, you can play with it. You guys love to play with colors. You're good at that. So anyway, here we go. I'm going to add some ocean now. And I'm going to keep that straight line. Boy, that's kind of cool. I had some yellow on my brush still, and it's making it kind of look like I have this sunny reflection on the water way off in the distance. I kind of like that. Maybe I'll keep that. So I'm just kind of cruising along here. I could add some white in here, back and forth. I'm going to grab some of this turquoise. It's just kind of fun, because we know that when we really look at the ocean or even in a lake, it's not as solid blue, is it? There's lots of colors. There's actually lots of green that we see. So you can just kind of play with it and make your own kind of beautiful scene. Every painting, as you know, is different. No two are the same, and that's what makes it fun and interesting. So now I'm going to put some of this kind of cool green in there. Ooh, that's pretty intense green there. I can go back and add a little blue in there if I want to. Who knows? I'm just kind of messing around with it. Uh-oh, big blob of white on my beach. Oh well. And now I'm going to bring some of this beachy water up onto my beach. I'm just going to brush up. I'm going to go lift and lift and lift and lift and lift and lift. You can see why we put the beach on first, because as the water rolls up onto the beach, it's painted on top of it, isn't it? So if I would have put just the ocean, then I would have had to add my sandy beach, and it would have been like on top of the water. So if that makes any sense. Okay, so I've kind of made just this peaceful little beach thing. Can add a little water to my brush if it feels like it's just kind of sticking. And I'm going to go back in a bit and maybe put a few slight little waves. This is a pretty calm, this is the kind of water I like to go float around on in the beach and do maybe a little bit of body surfing, but I'm not getting slammed on the beach. And I'll get that big blob out of there and stick that back up in the water somewhere. Anyway, just kind of messing around with it. Okay, so another thing that you could have done is, if you had orange and yellow or pink, you could make a real pretty sunset happening in your sky. Maybe it's the end of the day and those beautiful colors we sometimes see over the ocean. So now that I have this, I'm gonna add a little palm tree on here. And I can still use my big brush, but I'm going to switch to this little flat one. And a palm tree is kind of fun to do. You could put something else, of course, on your beach. You could have a beach ball, I don't know, a boat maybe kind of lodged up there, or a beach chair, or a beach blanket, a pair of flip-flops, who knows. But anyway, I'm going to now put on a little palm tree and show you how I do that. If you happen to have some little bit of brown, this works well, but it could also be your greens. Trunks of palm trees are kind of come in all different colors. And you can always make a tree bigger. It's hard to make it thinner. Or you can make it, you want to start out with a thinner tree. So I'm going to start here with my palm tree kind of coming from somewhere out of here, out of my painting. And it's kind of weird because I'm like, oh gosh, I don't really want to paint over this. And it's kind of leaning into the painting. And you can see that, you know, my paint behind here is obviously super wet. So I'm just being really light with my brush and kind of adding this trunk, this nice palm tree trunk. I don't want to make it any thicker than that because they happen to be, you know, on the, then it could be a little thicker at the bottom maybe, so it doesn't tip over. And now to put my palm leaves or fronds, if I really want to be fancy, I could use this fan brush that you guys have used in class. We did it to make the evergreen trees. That works really great. If you don't have one of these, you can still make these palm leaves with your flat brush as well, up on the very tip of it. So I'll show you here. So I'm going to use some green, and I'm just doing this little tap. It's the same thing we did when we made the evergreen trees, where I just kind of give myself a little line so I know where the palm leaf's going to be. And now I'm staying up on the tip and I'm brushing away from that center spot. Again, you can make palm trees different ways, but this is just kind of a fun way to do it. I'm going to mix a little, maybe some blue, which seems kind of weird, but I want my leaves to kind of stand out from one another, and I'll be a little different. So you can see that I'm just painting right over the background. And, excuse me, as long as I'm kind of not pushing too hard, I can paint right over that background that it's still wet. And again, if you have lots of different greens, dark green, light green, it's kind of fun to use several different greens. Have some parts of the palm tree that are a little darker, and some parts that are maybe lighter. So I'm just kind of messing around with this. Okay, and I can go back and with my flat brush or this one I happen to have in my hand, and I can add a little more paint and texture to my palm tree trunk. It doesn't have to be perfect because they are kind of lumpy and bumpy and kind of rough. Some of them, they're all different. There's so many different types of palm trees, but you can see it's just kind of, you put a coconut in there if you want. But now we've just created this really peaceful, calming beach scene. And again, you can add whatever you want. I've had people make these scenes and add beautiful boats going by, people surfing, swimming, maybe a beach umbrella, or who knows, maybe you have a shark, or actually it would be really cool, or dolphins jumping. That's up to you. So if you want to put a few, just to finish it up, if you want to have a few little waves, I'm just going to real gently with I'm using my fan brush again, but again, you could use the tip of your flat brush. Just some little, kind of look like waves rolling in, and they get smaller and smaller in the distance because it's further away. All right, you can barely see them, and I don't want it to just have lines all the way across, so I'm just being super gentle. Maybe there's some that's kind of crashing up on the beach a little bit. I know my scene's pretty peaceful, but if you want to have, you know, some big old surfing waves, you can sure put those in. So have a little fun with this. I'd love to see your piece. Have someone take a picture and send it over to me. And when it's nice and dry, really dry, You could sign your name with a Sharpie, or if you have a little tiny paintbrush, you could paint your signature on there. But anyway, thanks for going to the beach with me, and have fun with this painting. I'll look forward to seeing them show up on my email. Miss you guys, and I'll be making some more art lessons here soon, and we'll continue painting together. Take care. God bless you. Bye-bye.